Awesome. Well, a big warm welcome to you. And this is Church Talk, a new series of podcasts that we're putting together here at City Hope Church, where basically we're talking about church, right? And there's lots to talk about. I am Simon Hodgson. That's Hodgson, not Hodgson. It's just Hodgson. We'll put it up there for you to see and read. And I've just been blessed to lead this church with an unbelievable team around me. One of the things that happens to me all the time, wherever I go, people come to me and they ask one question. They don't care as much about me. They want to know about the team. They want to know this team. How did you get this team? Where did this team come from? And so I'm always talking about the incredible dream team that we have. And so what we're going to do, part of what we are burdened for as a church, our local church, is we'd love to be able to be a resource and a blessing to other churches, other ministries. And that is our prayer, that maybe you're someone looking in and wondering about how certain things have worked well for us. Well, we'd love to share some of that with you. And we love being helped. We love to help others. And so it's part of the journey. And so we're going to be chatting tonight with two of the legends of our team and really talking about something that I think is super important for us as a church. I think it's super important for all churches. And that is the conversation around how do you keep a caring culture, a culture of care in a growing church. That's one of the things that we've found ourselves in. How do we do that? And so with me today is two of the legends. Over here I've got Vaughn Harvey, also known as Master Pastor, and Vaughn oversees all of our pastoral care at City Hope Church. And then this side I've got Munya and Munya is an absolute legend. He oversees all of our hospitality teams at City. And so these two, I think, are well poised to chat and talk about how do we do this? How do we keep a culture of care as we've seen? I don't know about your church. We've just seen this incredible growth and momentum, new people coming into church post-COVID as we've opened the doors. And I think created some good new opportunities for us to really say, well, how do we do that? Munya, I'm going to you right now, one of the things that I think is amazing, and we hear this at our new partners integration process that we do. When we ask people what's one of the things that they love about our church, they always talk about how they feel that sense of care, right?
That's correct. And this has happened over and over again during those sessions we have at the landing. And I think the big idea behind those responses is how people feel at first contact when they when they enter our gates at City Green. The response that I always get is that, listen, from the moment we drove in, we could feel that this is home. Yeah. Whether it be the gestures from the parking team in terms of parking the cars, the welcome from our hosts. Yes. It all flows even in getting into the atrium. Right. So I think for me it's profound the effect that has on someone who's stepping into a new place.
100%. And we found that. And Vaughn, just speaking broadly, we're going to jump a little bit more into some of those practicalities of how we create that on a Sunday. But broadly speaking, you've been involved with Pastoral Care for so long and really have been able to see a lot of movement within the Pastoral Care space over the years. But where do you think Pastoral Care is best positioned now in terms of how we play that out as a church?
Well, I think pastoral care, even as Munya said, doesn't start when somebody arrives in counselling. Right. Actually, pastoral care starts very wide initially. It starts with helping people know that the place that they have come to is home. Right. And that there is a sense of family there and a sense of care there. So it starts really broad. Right. And then you might find some of those people more specifically end up needing some specific counselling. Yeah. But because the church is about people, you're not wanting to just focus on people that are in crisis. You're wanting to focus on everybody. And so you have to start thinking pastoral care is broad. And it starts from the time people arrive all the way through until they might need counselling one day.
Right. And I think, by the way, we're eating dinner together over here, so enjoy and eat along as we go. But I think I love that. There's kind of like a broad, open net. I mean, the Sundays are really the front door for people coming in, right? And it's the broadest, widest way for us to actually start helping people. And so, Munya, in your role with hospitality, what are some of those practical steps that we take at City to ensure that people can actually say, this is home, this feels like home, I feel like I'm with family? What are some of those things that we do?
So some of the simple things that we do is as soon as we identify someone as a visitor or new here, we want to take them to our new here area where we actually where we get to take down their details on one of our welcome cards.
Yep.
We do obviously hand them a little gift because we believe in that kind of hospitality where we've got something to give. After that, I think it's important that we show them around around our home, and we take them so that they get to see what's where, the bathrooms. If they've got kids, standard procedure with our hosts is that they're supposed to go and take them so that they can see the kids area. And the big idea behind that is just so that they feel at home and they feel comfortable.
Right.
Imagine being at a new place and your kids are whisked away somewhere where you don't know, the feeling that you would have. But the other side, we try to flip it around the other side where we take you through, we show you our facilities. You get to see where your kids are going to be playing, how they're going to be playing, who is going to be in charge in terms of taking care of your kids. And I think the big idea behind that is just so that you feel at ease and you feel at home.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's such an important thing. I mean, coming onto like our property, for example, could probably feel a little bit intimidating to even know where to go. So taking some of the mystery out of what's happening, guiding people, directing people. I know something we've spoken about before is we're intentional about walking people to where they're asking to go. You don't just point them down some mysterious passage or whatever. And it's the same as being in a home, right? It's if you've got someone in your home, you're going to help them around the space. But that New Year counter, I mean, that's something that I think has been really helpful for us to kind of just eliminate some of the confusion. So, you're on stage and you're announcing 10 things that people can do straight after the gathering. And so we really wanted to simplify that. And so we just have now 2 areas. We've got a New Year counter and we've got a next steps counter, and that's it. You're going to go to one of those 2 spaces. And we've seen good success in being able to effectively get the visitors to that New Year counter that way, right?
That's correct. I think having those 2 areas separated has really helped us even in capturing who's coming for what. Like you mentioned, the other area is for initiatives, next steps. So at least I think what that has done is we separate who's who. The new people or visitors get to that desk, and they get helped by whoever is designated at that desk. That's
one of the other big things is, it's no point having a New Year desk and then there's nobody there to greet you when you get there. So it's having the people in the places right throughout. Those are some really good things. And then I think one of the greatest things that we've seen, especially in the past couple of years, post-COVID, is just a high rate of visitors coming into church, and I don't know if that's your story as a church, but we've just seen an influx of the area, the community that we in post-COVID really coming in to the church, and maybe it's the slight bribery of a gift there on the other side of your card. I don't know, but those cards are useful for us just to be able to then make sure that we proactively are touching base with them in the week that follows.
That's correct. I think we've had very good success. I mean, with every person who actually fills in a card, for me, that shows interest. Because if you are not interested, you would just walk away. But seeing someone taking the effort of actually signing, filling in one of those cards, for me, is a good response. And as standard procedure as well, we try and make sure that within 24 hours, we've reached out to whoever has signed in a card.
Within 24 hours?
Within 24 hours, we reach out. And I think the success rate is very, very good. When you reach out to someone within 24 hours.
Right.
You're sending a message to say, we care, we see you, we hear you,
100%.
and we respond to whatever need that they've actually inquired about on that specific card.
Absolutely. Now, I've got my food in my mouth. I said I'm going to do that to you guys. Feel free to eat a little bit while we chat to Vaughn over here. Now, Vaughn, you know, there's a stat. There's actually a science behind how many people's names one human being can actually remember. It's not very high, but that does not apply to Vaughn. God gave him some other special thing over there. So pretty much anybody in our church we can point to, and Vaughn will know who it is, what their name is, and their whole life history. And so that is why Vaughn is a very special gift to us. But what's some of the things for you, even in interacting and keeping that caring culture with not necessarily the new people coming in, but those of us who've been around forever?
Yeah, I think even with the new people, but those who've been around forever, I think it's more than just greeting people on a Sunday. It is about listening. So I would say that is the biggest switch sometimes we need to make, is not to just greet, but to listen.
Sure.
And I find those big gathering times, whether it is on a Sunday or a city woman during the week or something else where there's just a lot of people, are just so critical for pastors, really, because it gives you opportunity to touch base with the people who are coming to your church.
Right.
And so you really want to be listening. And so I listen to the conversation that we have, and they might mention that they're going into hospital, or they are going for an interview, or they're really struggling in their job, or maybe they're expecting something to happen this week and they're really nervous about it. And for some of those things, there's opportunity to even pray for them before a meeting or a gathering has even started. And what is really amazing about that is it just communicates care. But then you might think I'm really amazing at remembering names. But often after I've spoken to a person like that, I will make a note on my phone.
Right. Okay, is that how you do it?
That is how I do it.
Okay, it's on the phone.
So we can all do it. So I will make a little bit of a note. This family, new, 2 kids, dark hair, short, whatever. Maybe try and link their name to somebody else's name that is similar.
Okay. Now we're getting all the tips. All right. So
all
it's
the
multiple
tips.
Layered.
And then before I arrive at the next Sunday in that week prior, I will just give a scan through those names, hoping that I'm going to meet those people again.
Great.
And then once I've spoken to that person again and remember their name, it's so much easier the 3rd time round, 4th time round.
Yes.
And I find if you can remember those things and even try and get hold of that person in the week, drop them a WhatsApp.
Okay.
Maybe these days, even a little bit more personal is to give them a voice note and actually pray for them, because they're going into hospital today and they're really nervous. It says so much.
Right.
And it just once again communicates that we are wanting to be there for people in every single season of their life. And even sometimes it's something like they're writing an exam.
Sure.
It might not be the biggest deal for everybody, but the fact that you remembered. And that again, I just make a note in my phone, put it in my diary, and when the day comes up, try and send them the number. Hopefully I've got their number. Or I've checked with Munya if they were a visitor. And I'm able to send them a message. And that just speaks to people. And I think the big thing there is I'm not thinking to myself, yes, I want you to think that this church is great. I'm wanting them to feel that Jesus loves them.
100%.
And so I think when we take that extra step, it communicates that Jesus took so many steps towards us, and that's what I'm really hoping for, although they might think we're great as well, but that's not the big deal.
That's brilliant. It's communicating Jesus. So if your phone ever gets stolen, dies, not backed up, then we're all in the world of trouble. It's all in there.
Absolutely. So everything gets saved to the cloud. Everything gets backed up there.
Okay, but have you ever had what happens to me on a regular basis, where I introduce myself and ask, have I met you before? And then they have met me 10 times before. Does that ever happen to you, or are you just immune from that?
I wish I could say I was immune from it, but I'm not. Sometimes you haven't actually met that person, or you met them a while back and then they haven't been in church again. So, the little way that I try to remember doesn't work so well, but they haven't been there for 3 or 4 weeks because, I'm not going to go checking for 4 weeks on that person.
That's right.
And also at the end of the day, actually, we are just human. And I think sometimes people appreciate the fact that we can say to them, if we met before, I'll normally go up to somebody and say, we met before? And they might say 2 weeks ago. And I'll say, I'm so sorry, I forgot. What's your name again?
Yes.
And they actually appreciate the fact that you were just honest about it.
Yes.
So, it's okay. We're human at the end of the day. I think people are more concerned that you greet them and that you notice them and that they are seen.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we worry about the wrong things.
Yeah. So if those moments are awkward, it's us that are making it awkward, not them.
Exactly.
The next sort of, I suppose, level within the funnel then, so that's kind of the big open door of Sundays, and I think there's a lot of great stuff in there for us that's very practical. We can all put that into, in fact, we have one of the things that we do with all of our staff is we ask the first 5 minutes after the gathering ends that all of us are out in the foyer, out in the coffee areas, being intentional about meeting and greeting, because it makes a huge difference. And then you can, lots of staff are busy and they've got things to do for the next gathering, but we just want to prioritize that we're all out there the first 5 minutes. Our focus is on people, and we move on to what we need to do for the next gathering from there. So important. But then I suppose there's the next level within that sort of funnel of pastoral care, Munya, of spiritual growth and discipleship within people. And so if we've been able to create that culture well on a Sunday, there's another sort of level within that. And what are some of the ways that we encourage that amongst our people?
Well, I think there are various ways that we encourage that amongst our people. One of the ways that I love the most is in serving teams.
Yeah.
When people sign up to say, listen, I want to serve, one of the best ways or the most effective ways is to actually look at the list, look at who wants to volunteer. If it's a young man who's probably maybe in his 20s, mid-20s, and he's saying, I want to volunteer, why not place them into a team where they actually are going to be with their peers?
Right.
And I found that working very well because in that team is a leader as well. Mm-hmm. And that creates an environment, that creates, a setting where discipleship can start happening,
right,
even from the context of just being in a serving team. So that's one of the ways.
Yeah.
One of the ways that I love on Sundays is just picking on different people around. You mentioned that first 5 minutes after the gathering where we're all out there meeting and mingling with people. So you come across someone who's carrying a dad who's new dad who's carrying an 18-month-old, and you see someone else that you know who's also in that life stage where they've got a child.
Right.
And you just link them together and say, listen,
right,
have you met this person?
Brilliant.
And from there, the conversation starts going. And I've seen on so many occasions where people are exchanging numbers and, you hear that, they met for coffee later on. And those are some of the those are some of the easy ways of actually getting people connected into different areas and meeting new people.
And I suppose that's where the magic really happens once they've taken that step into their own hands in many ways. You've made the connection happen and then they take that forward. All of a sudden, this is all feeling very much like home within that.
That's correct.
Yeah, brilliant. And other things that you've mentioned around that, when people have expressed need and been intentional about praying into that.
Yeah, praying into it. And I think also, what I said just now is you're listening to people and it's almost like the conversation's coming from them. But I think there's also a place to almost be intentional. So people that I know a little bit better and have been around for a bit longer, I would ask them things like, so how are things actually going spiritually?
Right.
What do you think is the next step for you? Or somebody younger and they're about to buy a home or purchase a property. And I might say to them, hey, listen, have you thought about doing something that's going to help you get your head around the financial side of things? Maybe you should come through to our finance initiative. And so I'm constantly thinking where they can be discipled and matured in an area that they may be heading into or might already have stepped into, but they just need to still grow there, because I'm jealous for them to actually get godly wisdom on the front end, rather than wait years into their life to get that godly wisdom. So I think it's sometimes having the intentional questions, and even when you know that something's coming up and it's applicable to someone, sometimes after a gathering, rather than just going to anybody, I'm thinking, who can I head to in that space, because it's going to specifically link up to what we've spoken about today, and then I can encourage them to get to that initiative or get to that event that's going to be happening. I think there's definitely an intentionality there, and yet it's the reason for it is spiritual growth and discipleship. And I think the great thing is, once again, it falls then not just in the pastor's hands. It falls in the hands of those that are so gifted sometimes in those other areas to help people to grow. And so then you see the Church of Jesus doing its work through different giftings. And so it's this wonderful aspect of pastoral care is much wider than the pastor.
And it has to be. It has to be. And I guess that's one of the things within a growing church. It's so easy for a person to just suddenly feel like lost in a crowd. But these are type of moments that make them feel like they are noticed and they are seen. And besides just being noticed and seen, there's an intentional interest shown in their own lives and what they're going through.
I think one of the things I've noticed as well, though, is that when we do it, and people know no better. So when we ask these intentional questions, often people do the same, because that's just how they grew or were helped to grow. So when they require to help somebody to grow, very often they adopt what they have seen or experienced themselves. And so in some ways we're modeling something to people without realizing it.
100%. And something that I've seen you do multiple times, and I think it's one of those that has caught on with others, is it's not just the one time you ask how is XYZ going. You'll go back and say, we spoke about XYZ a week ago, and follow up on that again. I mean, that just speaks volumes to people.
I think it's one of those things where we're just saying, hey, we're wanting to see you through the long haul. We're not wanting to just say a quick do this, do that. How are you actually doing in that? And again, I think that's because people have done that for me, and I've seen the benefit of it. So I end up doing that for others.
So there's a lot of stuff in there, and then when we start looking at how to offer support, this is almost like when pastoral care gets into that support in big life stage changes or crisis intervention and things like that. I mean, you guys know what it means when someone's going through something extremely serious to be cared for effectively by the church. And what are some of the things there that we need to have a good understanding of when we start to deal with big life change intervention stuff? Either of you.
Okay, so I think that's a very important question there, and thank you very much for that. I think in our experience, one of the things that you need to take into consideration is the cultural differences. As you mentioned, we are a growing church, and with that brings in a lot of opportunities, but also some challenges as well, where we're getting people from diverse backgrounds, and you realize that each culture has a different way of doing things. So when you look at something as simple as marriage, each culture has its own way of how they handle marriage, the whole process from courtship into going into marriage, and how they actually interact as husband and wife. So when those moments, like you mentioned, then arise, one has to have that understanding, a deep understanding of how to actually approach a situation with love, with kindness, but also not forgetting the cultural differences that then are at play. And I think that has played out so many times in different sessions that we've had, and it's been a learning process for Vaughn and myself when we are approaching these issues. That we always, I think these days it's always about, we say, hold up, stop. Let's think about what exactly is happening here. Who are we dealing with? What is what does this mean in their culture?
Yes.
And then start approaching that from that angle. And you realize that people are actually very receptive, because if someone shows interest in not only what you're going through, but what your mindset is, what your view or your perception is towards a particular subject or issue, then you're more receptive to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that's quite important, because of the diversity and because every single person is different anyway, never mind culturally, is sometimes to just hear what the expectations are, so that when they're going through a life stage or life change, what are they actually expecting?
Right.
So it could be something as simple as having their little one dedicated to church. And in their head, they feel they think the whole family is going to come up, and so everybody's going to say something, and then we don't do it like that, and they think, sure, we missed the boat. Or somebody passes away in a family, especially in a black family, and it's extended family from the person that's attending our church. But in black culture, you go to that person's home. In my thinking, I think I go to the person's home that's a partner in our church. Yeah. And so you can get it so wrong and miss it so much. I think sometimes it's okay to actually just clarify what is the expectation when it comes to this specific season of change for you, or this season of crisis, because then also there's opportunity to be able to say, we're going to be able to do this, but we're probably not going to be able to do that.
Right.
And I find that's really helpful. When I'm thinking life's change, I'm thinking guys about to get married, pre-marriage. Yeah. I'm thinking loss of a loved one. Yeah. I'm thinking sometimes even crisis in marriage, which would lean more towards a counselling space. And I think even when it comes to pastoral care, we've got to be big enough to be able to recognise when we can't help a person and we have to refer them out. Yeah. And that is actually okay. Yes. And so for me, pastoral care when it comes to crisis is we don't want to hurt the person more by trying to handle something that we're unable to handle. Right. We may be able to take them to a point. We might be able to take them through the whole process. But if we can't, we have to have some people that we can refer them out to.
Yeah, 100%. Sure. So much good stuff. And I really pray and hope that this has been super helpful to everybody watching and hoping to glean something from this. We haven't got it all perfect all the time, certainly not anywhere near it. But I think it's, some of these things are, if some of these things work for us, it will probably work for someone else as well. And so any sort of last closing thoughts around this pastoral care, how to keep a culture of care within a growing church before we wrap up? And thank you to our amazing friends at Crave In for this food once again. It's been absolutely amazing.
I think I would probably just say, don't wait until the church is growing before you start doing it. Get it into the thinking of your people right from the get-go. So start when you're small, and you'll see it continuing as you get bigger.
Absolutely, yeah. And from yourself, sir?
From myself, I would say treat everyone who comes through into your space as if they're coming into your house, as if they're a visitor in your house.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you so much to both of you. I think so much good stuff there, and just so grateful for both of you on our team and all that you contribute. And I pray that was a blessing for you. I pray that there's some stuff there that you can take. And as always, part of our heart is that we would be a resource to others. So I'd encourage you to share this as far and wide as you'd like to. If it's blessed you, we pray that it will bless someone else as well. And so thank you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Church Talk.